Picture yourself in a room filled with voices, all of them telling you what to do, what to feel, what to think. And amidst that noise, you almost forget the sound of your own voice. But there exists a moment when you can turn the handle and walk out of that room, close the door, breathe, and hear once again what comes from within. That is what this video is about. Reclaiming control, returning to yourself. Today, you will learn 5 Stoic attitudes to transform silence into respect, pain into clarity, and loss into power. And if you listen carefully, you will leave here with a complete training to begin your transformation today. Breathe. Because from this moment forward, the only voice that matters is your own. First attitude, silence and non-reaction. Reacting is easy, responding is rare. When someone provokes you, the body sounds alarms. The amygdala, the brain region responsible for primary emotions such as fear and anger, goes on alert. The heart accelerates, cortisol, the stress hormone, rises. But there exists an interval, milliseconds between what happens and what you do with it. And it is in that interval that the Stoic lives. Neuroscience calls this emotional self-regulation, which is nothing more than teaching the body not to react on impulse. 2 cycles of slow breathing through the nose. This simple action sends a signal to the brain, danger under control. The heart decelerates. The mind regains command. Epictetus said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." Now consider this. Every time you give too much access, when you explain what does not need explaining, or justify yourself to those who do not wish to understand, you hand over ammunition. You give people the map of how to wound you. Silence is a shield, and absence of reaction is strategy. Because whoever feeds on your response starves when you choose to remain at peace. Practical application. Calm gaze, controlled breathing, no justifications. Say only, "Understood," and leave. This phrase, short and neutral, is the emotional equivalent of closing a door. Whoever needs your chaos cannot bear your equilibrium. Anchoring phrase, "My peace is not for sale." Second attitude, clear boundaries and active self-respect. Boundaries are not walls. They are frontiers of respect. And whoever does not define their own frontiers ends up living as no man's land. Setting boundaries is, above all, an act of love, because you teach others how you wish to be treated by the way you treat yourself. Neuroscience explains it simply. The brain learns through repetition and association. If every time someone disrespects you, you respond with sweetness, that person's brain associates your presence with tolerance. It learns that it can, and it repeats. But when you change the behavior, the other person's brain must reorganize. This is social neuroplasticity, the capacity of the relationship to create new patterns based on your new example. Setting boundaries is not pushing the other away. It is drawing closer to yourself, because when you truly begin to value yourself, you lose the fear of displeasing others. And that is the precise point where respect is born. Think how many times you valued someone else's opinion more than your own well-being. That is self-sabotage. It is like lighting a candle to illuminate someone else's path and forgetting that your own hand also burns. The Stoic understands. Whoever respects themselves first teaches the world to do the same. Practical application. First, define what is non-negotiable for you. Time, tone, frequency, language. Second, communicate once, calmly and without justifications. Third, if the line is crossed, withdraw. Seneca said, "He who values himself does not fear solitude." When you choose yourself, life begins to choose you back. Anchoring phrase, "I respect myself and teach the world to do the same." Third attitude, self-sufficiency, body and purpose. The body is the temple of the mind, and every disorganized mind begins in a neglected body. Dopamine, the neurotransmitter responsible for motivation, is released when the brain perceives progress. It need not be something grand. Small daily victories are the fuel of self-sufficiency. When you care for yourself, exercise, eat well, you change the chemistry of your brain. Blood flows better, oxygenation increases, and the body sends signals of competence to the mind. This is why physical exercise reduces anxiety. It is not merely aesthetics. It is the biology of self-esteem. And here is the practical Stoic protocol for recovering inner power. First, body. Train, even if only for 20 minutes. Move. Each drop of sweat is a reminder that you still have dominion over yourself. Second, work. Write down what needs doing and what has been done. When you write, the brain recognizes advancement. This activates purpose-driven dopamine, the pleasure of perceiving genuine progress. Writing is more than recording. It is reaffirming to the mind that you are in command. Third, ritual. Dedicate 10 daily minutes to something that elevates your reason. It might be reading Stoicism, listening to this channel, or studying something that strengthens you. The important thing is to disconnect from the noise and reconnect with clarity. And there exists an invisible yet powerful attitude, digital cleansing. Review what you consume. Ask yourself, what will this bring me in the medium and long term? If the answer is nothing, disconnect. Attention is the most valuable currency of the century, and each distraction is a small theft from your life. Include nutrition here. Processed foods, sugar, and fried items inflame the gut. And when the gut inflames, it sends chemical signals to the brain, increasing anxiety and mental confusion. Clean food, clean mind. Consider this before your next meal. The Stoic understands. Caring for the body is caring for the soul. Anchoring phrase, I am sufficient unto myself because I care for myself. Fourth attitude, selective presence and withdrawal of availability. Not everyone deserves your time. Not every request for attention is an invitation to evolution. There is a difference between being available and being at someone's disposal. The first is choice. The second is imprisonment. What is predictable loses value, and what is rare, coherent, and centered gains respect. Psychology in simple language. The human brain creates mental shortcuts about people. If someone knows you always respond, always explain, always return, they need not make an effort. Their mind creates an automatic pattern. You are guaranteed. But when you change the pattern, the other person's brain enters update alert mode. They begin to think about you again, because now there exists a mystery, an absence, and absence is the name the soul gives to longing. But take care. This is not a game. It is energetic respect. It is understanding that presence without reciprocity is a waste of life. The Stoic withdraws with elegance, not with pride, but with purpose. How to apply and practice. Define your response times. Cut conversations that circle endlessly. Replace convincing with communicating once and acting. Example of a neutral yet firm phrase. I prefer to speak when there is mutual willingness to resolve matters. Meanwhile, I continue with my commitments. You teach silently that your attention is a privilege, not an obligation. And neuroscience confirms, when the brain perceives scarcity, it elevates the emotional value of something. This is the effect of anticipatory dopamine, the pleasure of waiting. Absence used wisely teaches what excessive presence cannot. Marcus Aurelius said, "The best revenge is not to be like your enemy." Silence, at times, is the loudest voice of strength. Anchoring phrase, I offer presence only where there is reciprocity. Fifth attitude, memory reconsolidation and gratitude training. The mind is like a river. It never touches the same water twice. Every memory you revisit is re-recorded in the brain, and this can be liberating or destructive. Neuroscience calls this memory reconsolidation. When you recall something, the memory becomes malleable for a few minutes. In that brief instant, you can re-record the meaning of it. So if someone wounded you, do not deny the pain. Look at it with new eyes. Ask, what did this experience teach me about myself? Each time you do this, the brain associates the past with wisdom, not with trauma, and the wound ceases to be a wound. It becomes a scar, and scars are medals of those who survived. Now complement this process with gratitude training, but genuine gratitude, concrete, that is felt in the body. Take a piece of paper or your phone's notepad and write every day 3 lines. First, something about the body that functions. Example, Today my legs supported me even when tired. When you acknowledge the body, the brain activates areas of pleasure and stability. Second, something about work that advances. Example: today I finished that task I postponed for days. This reinforces healthy dopamine, the pleasure of progress. Third, something about character that you honored. Example: today I did not argue, I chose calm. This strengthens self-image and creates new neural connections of self-mastery. 3 lines, 3 minutes, 3 daily reminders of who you are becoming. Marcus Aurelius wrote to himself every morning. He called it preparation for the day. It was his way of not being hostage to the emotions of others. And that is what you are also doing here, transforming reflection into practice, philosophy into chemistry, thought into conduct. Anchoring phrase: I rewrite my story every day. 7-day training to consolidate the 5 attitudes. Stoicism is not theory. It is training. It is conscious repetition until it becomes nature. For 7 days, practice the following. Day 1, breathe before responding. Observe reactions. Transform impulse into choice. Day 2, write down a boundary. Communicate it calmly and sustain it, without needing to prove anything. Day 3, care for the body. Train, eat well, and write what you did. At the end of the day, note what progressed. This releases dopamine and strengthens your identity. Day 4, practice selective presence. Cut an excess. Respect your time. Observe how silence reorganizes relationships. Day 5, reconsolidate a memory. Rewrite what marked you, this time as author, not victim. Day 6, repeat the morning ritual. Read something Stoic for 10 minutes. Listen to a reflection that elevates you. Feel how much lighter the mind becomes. Day 7, take what you wrote in the previous days. Read it aloud. Notice who you are becoming. Because only those who write their own story understand their own power. And remember, transformation begins on paper, but it is consolidated in action. When you write, you think about yourself. And when you think about yourself, you see yourself again. And whoever sees themselves, chooses themselves. You need not prove anything to those who do not value you. You need only remember who you are. Respect is not begged, it is inspired, it is imposed in silence. And when you do this, something changes in the eyes of others. But most importantly, in your own. Neuroscience explains that every new attitude, repeated for 21 days, creates a new neural pathway, a new route. And each choice made in awareness is a seed of the future planted in the mind. Today, you planted 5 seeds: silence, boundaries, purpose, presence, and gratitude. Cultivate them, and the harvest will be respect. Now close your eyes, breathe deeply, and say to yourself with firmness and calm, today, I choose my respect. If this message spoke to you, write in the comments, today I choose my respect. And if it awakened something within you, subscribe now and activate the bell, because every day at dawn, you will receive a reminder of strength and presence, and every week a new video to remind you, the mind that masters itself is never lost in anyone. This is the Stoic equilibrium, reason as a way of life, virtue as strength, discipline as the path,